it's a precursor to Omaha in the sense of just the competition and the pride that goes into it. So to be where LSU ended up in that tournament, obviously you would have liked to have won the championship, but falling to Tennessee like they did 4-3 and putting together a ninth inning effort that nearly got them right back into it.
You almost expected it.
Yeah, I mean, really and truly, I thought for sure here we go. As LSU wins 40 games on the season. I mean, that is a heck of an accomplishment, and I don't want to speak in a past tense like that. You know, the season's over, because like we've said over the last couple of weeks, I mean, LSU is one of the most dangerous teams in the country. I mean, North Carolina had to wake up yesterday or go to bed last night thinking, man, this mountain just got a lot steeper to climb here with that team coming in, as LSU has got to be one of the most dangerous 2 seeds out there. As it was named yesterday, LSU is the second seeded team in the North Carolina Regional in Chapel Hill. The 4-team double elimination tournament will face off LSU first versus Wofford. LSU's never faced Wofford in a game. They've also never faced Long Island, who's the 4th seed at the tournament as well. So you've got North Carolina, the 1 seed. Wofford is the 3 seed. Long Island is the 4 seed, and LSU is the 2 seed. I don't know anything about North Carolina. I know a little bit about their history. They've been a pretty solid program. It feels like for the last decade plus.
I want to say they took the series from Wake Forest this year.
Really?
I did watch a little bit of the Wheels on YouTube, had that game up.
Yeah.
So I watched a little bit of that where they did take one game from Wake Forest, but that's kind of – they're not bad, obviously, if you're hosting a regional.
Absolutely.
And they won the second best conference in baseball. Like, it was SEC, ACC.
Yeah.
ACC, I think, has one more team hosting than SEC.
Yeah, the combination of them has like 19.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's wild. And so and North Carolina won the ACC like in the regular season, so it's nothing to sneeze at. Obviously, like, you go into as much has been made of LSU baseball and their run, and like you said, like, there's video on Twitter of North Carolina and LSU being announced in their regional. It's pretty much what you would expect, where they're like, well, it had to go somewhere. Like,
right.
the boogeyman might be, okay, it's at North Carolina, but anytime you get a chance to host, it shows how good they are to win the conference like they did. Well, obviously, I don't think LSU's going there expecting or being favored to win the regional, but if you're sitting where we sit, I would put them up against anybody right now.
Yeah, I mean, I really and truly, like I said, I don't know anything about North Carolina baseball in 2024, nor, for that matter, the history of it, other than, you know, being able to tell you that they've been solid and that I've recognized their logo in Omaha consistently over the last decade. But at this point, if you're riding with LSU, you got to feel like send me anywhere. I mean, like, wherever they tell you to go, if you load up and keep playing with the same type of confidence and belief that they've been playing with and that they built up in Hoover, you know, I mean, that is college baseball's worst nightmare, is LSU playing like that. But it is LSU's time of the year. It is the usual point where you see LSU drop it a gear and make the run, and here we go. And for this sake, LSU will have their chance in Chapel Hill starting on Friday. And a lot like they handled the regional last season, where, you know, people were wondering, when LSU was obviously a host at that point, what they were going to do with Paul Skeens as they were opening up with Tulane.
God, do you remember that conversation?
And it was
was it like supposed to rain or something?
No, they were going to throw him. They were going to save Skeens. It's like, no, we're throwing him.
Yeah,
it's the regional.
Like,
and
trying to win, fellas.
Jay Johnson had to come out and really kind of nipped it real quick. You know, I mean, he was like, no. We're
Paul
throwing
Skeens is
Paul
throwing.
Skeens.
And everybody's Jay's dumb.
And
he got so much backlash for it. And then you go in, you look at the game against Tulane. It was as close as it could have been with Paul Skeens on the mound. Like, needed him. And so for LSU, I think you're right, where you're going to go. I don't think you're going to see LSU pitching backwards in this scenario again. If you take anything from last year, where he threw the best pitcher in the country against Tulane, I would imagine that he's going to throw one of the best pitchers in the country at this point, Gage Jump, against Wofford, because Wofford has like top 5 offense in the country.
I think what did they say? Only like 2 people aren't batting 300 in their lineup
Yeah,
or something.
I mean,
like that?
obviously you look at who they've played versus what
Yeah.
LSU has done, and you just leave the gauntlet of the SEC where, I mean, LSU could not have put a better foot forward. Which, like, just even watching the tournament, it feels inevitable, which is hilarious. If you're an LSU fan, or if you're not an LSU fan, you're like, I can't believe these sons of bitches are doing it again.
I know.
Like, it has to be mind-numbing to be
I mean-
like, look at them.
When LSU pulls up to the ballpark, they're pulling up with 6,000 people behind
doubt.
them. Like you look at the stadium Sunday, and it was just purple and gold, purple and gold. You see a little burnt orange in there, and it's purple and gold, purple and gold. Kids in the stands catching balls, purple and gold shirt on. Like it's just wild.
Got 10-year-olds making plays.
Right.
But then they even said in the booth, they're like, this place is packed. Like, going into obviously it's the final game in Hoover, but also it's the final game in Hoover. You're like, y'all got to have something else to do. It's
No.
like, no, we're turning up for LSU. And it was littered with purple and gold. And I would imagine that North Carolina has to be thinking the same thing, that these
North-
tickets are going to be, you don't let them
Yeah,
take
you
over
better
your
gobble them
ballpark.
up, right? Hey, you
And-
better get them.
And like North Carolina ain't that far from Louisiana. So
No,
it's
easy.
not. It's a hop,
No,
skip, and a
no,
jump
right,
to
right.
get over there.
Yeah, no, it's
Pack up the
I mean, it's an
the Chevy.
easy flight.
Right.
Get to Charlotte,
Yeah.
rent a car.
We're here.
Next thing you know, you got 5,000 Cajuns in your backyard
This where Michael
barbecuing on Tuesday.
This is where Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
played?
yeah, right.
Not that nice.
Yeah.
But I will
went
tell
where
you, so,
Shaq
I mean,
went.
doing a little bit of homework here and kind of doing it as the teacher's teaching the class. North Carolina is 32-2 at home this season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care where you're playing.
That
plays.
That's
That
really
plays.
good, right? And for the ACC, look, I know it's not the SEC, but it's a click below. I mean, it's not like
sneeze at.
it's not the difference of the American and SEC. Scott Forbes, who is the 4th-year coach at North Carolina, is the ACC Coach of the Year. The only 2 games that they lost this year were to Coastal Carolina and Virginia Tech. And they did and were combined 10 and 11 on the road and in neutral sites, which means nothing this weekend. And it is a team that has 2 frontline guys and a closer that is going to be a hell of a task for LSU to get through this weekend. And like we said, look, man, if you're a stock buyer, if you're somebody who's going into the
You're
tournament, you're late on LSU. But I think that LSU is going to feel like the team that's going to have a lot of support behind them because of the experience and the way that they are playing right now. I just think that the way that they are swinging, the way that they are pitching, the way that they are coaching, you can sense all of it is just timed up to this point.
you could set your watch to it.
I mean, it was beautiful to watch last week.
Well, because you were getting to the point where, I mean, you can go all the way back to the Ole Miss series where LSU had to sweep, and you're like, well, they haven't swept anybody all year. But then you start, well, it is LSU. At some point, like, they tend to do this. They tend to pull a rabbit out the hat at some point, and they did it where they get their first sweep. And what you saw was every kind of, it's been what we've been asking to see from LSU the entire year, where everything kind of fell in place, where it was, all right, you figured out who. I mean, you could go even back to now where you found, like, it feels like you almost found a starting center fielder with Jake Brown.
Yeah.
Like, that was another piece that we were looking for somebody to kind of take that role. And Jake Brown, obviously, it's the 2-run homer when he tries to bunt twice. And then you see the heroics of Stephen Milam. And then you have Ashton Larson. Those are 3 freshmen that you are going to be playing at LSU for 2 more years after this. Like, they have to. And so for LSU to have those kind of in your back pocket for the next 2 years is awesome. But to see them mature and, like, the maturation of those guys playing, you're like, all right, now it feels like Milam obviously is somebody that's not a freshman anymore. Larson is kind of hit that stopgap for what Milam did early in the year when it got to SEC play. It was like, okay, this is a little bit harder than I thought.
He hit that game winner on Thursday night, right? Or Saturday?
Saturday.
Is that
Milam?
Yeah.
So we hadn't talked about it. I
No.
mean, like, what a moment.
This weekend was
I mean,
wild.
it was
Like
nuts.
You down 8-0.
8-0.
I knew when they tied it back up, I was like,
Oh, it's over.
it's over.
Oh, what's it? I mean, one of the most bizarre calls maybe in college baseball that I've seen.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen somebody not touch home and
I've
score
never
a
seen
run.
it. And for that call
And your coach got ejected.
Not to be reviewable.
Right.
Is dumber than the call.
In extra innings, too. Like, you got to be able to.
That was.
Man was dead to rights. Like, not even close to stealing
tagged
home.
him in the
That's
chest.
why it made it look
look,
awkward.
I'm not getting into it, but by the letter of the law, it looked as if LSU didn't break a rule. First thing that I have not heard discussed anywhere is that the batter steps out of the box. Into my interpretation of the rule, when that happens, that area is dead. Right? Like, I mean, when he steps out of the box, if that guy's running, I'm free to play however I need to play. If not, okay. But if the rule states that he can't step on the plate or above the plate, by the camera angles and the shots that I saw, he never touches the plate, and it could be debated widely whether or not he steps in front of it. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you for certain that he does. I can't tell you for certain that he doesn't. So at this moment, fellas, like, I would have huddled up and been like, fellas, what are we doing? We want to do this right now.
And
anybody get a good look at it?
I mean, like, we really want to make this call?
They even counted that as a pitch.
What's that?
Like, they counted that as a pitch against Herring.
And he got to steal third.
And he never touched home plate.
Never touched home plate.
He never touched home plate. Goes back into the he goes to the dugout. At that point, he's dead. Like, he can't come back out. He can't come back out and touch it, right? Like, I mean.
And then LSU appeals by stepping on the plate, and then while they appeal, South Carolina steals, what is it, second or third, and they just let him steal. It's like, no, we're appealing. You can't. It just got so out of hand.
It was getting
boys, fellas.
For a tournament that is putting 2 first bases on the line to experiment with, and then come out and say that a call like that is non-reviewable, I thought was a little bit of a egg on the face of a week that was incredible. I mean, like, fellas, are we really going to do this right now? Thank God Milam comes out and bails everybody out.
Yeah, this is the way it's like.
I mean, like, really and truly, the truest definition of ball don't lie. But say, for instance, LSU, just in a world, does not pull off the heroics and win the game. This is a big deal. I mean, like, for those guys and that crew to have, first off, the nuts to make that call at that point. I mean, when we came back from the commercial break and they were huddled up, I said, LSU about to get screwed.
Yeah. I knew.
I was like, what could they be talking about?
Could we be talking about? We have every angle of this play. We know all of
that. Look at.
Like, that kid should be punished for trying to steal home in the top of the 10th with 2 outs. That's one of the dumbest baseball moves I've ever seen. Like, you're going to bail this guy out? I mean,
and he was out by a mile.
He couldn't even slide.
They kept cutting him in the dugout. He had the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. He was like,
he was like, when they were showing him, and he was like,
I just got away with murder.
Yeah, no doubt. He was OJ.
Driving on the highway.
I mean, that was OJ in the Bronco.
God. It was,
maybe a little. That was the little. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. But, like, just his expression, it was just like, I know I screwed that up big time.
And I got rewarded for it. But that said, somebody in the chat, I forgot who it was.
How is that not reviewable?
That was the wild part.
That's what Sabre Green in the chat is like. I want to know what Jay said. He goes, he goes, I didn't even say anything to get ejected.
It was almost like he was like, throw me out.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like, what are we doing?
You better throw me out.
If you don't,
or I'm going to kill you.
Like, I'm
coming back here.
I'm going to pull a big copy in the dugout.
I'm going to grab a baseball bat. I'll be back.
Right.
I mean, like, you better throw me out.
Had to be the last Boy Scout.
It didn't look like Jay said anything like out of the way to him. He was just asking about the play. Like, he was like, "How can you?" I think he said, "How can you make that call?"
That's what. We talked to him yesterday.
And the umpire's like, "You're out."
We don't have to explain this to you.
I don't have to explain anything to you.
Like, well, no, he goes. Whenever they got together, he goes, "All right, if we're all together," he goes, "Which one of you made the call?" Like, what'd you see?
They didn't know.
He couldn't answer. He's like, you need to go. Yeah. And he's like, I didn't even do anything.
And then the
guy, I just wondered how, if you can't review it, why are we, like, which one of y'all came together and made a group decision after we had already changed, Like, we already went to the bottom of the inning, but y'all decided to get up and were like, you know what?
And even on the broadcast, the guy that they brought in, he was like, well, I don't want to make a judgment call. Kyle Peterson was like,
Yeah.
well, I hate to tell you, buddy, that comes with the gig. You know what I mean?
why you're here.
That's why you're here.
But the rules expert in, he didn't want. I don't want no
shit.
part of this.
I mean,
That's really what, like, they brought him in and talk about being in a terrible spot. Like, I don't know why they did that. And then you have the rules official for the SEC. After the game, he's like, look, it was a weird situation. It's like, y'all just say
it
you
was
got
not.
it wrong.
Yeah, just say you screwed it up.
You four got together on your own time.
Somebody should send Monster Milam an NIL deal from the SEC office. Like, buddy, appreciate you. Here's $20K for bailing us out on Saturday.
Well, that check's about to start clearing for all the
Yeah.
athletes.
That's
Did
worth,
the-
what, $20 billion?
Yeah, Greg Sankey was not too happy.
Did South Carolina's coach say that he called the play because he expected batter interference to be called?
No, I
I
didn't
hope
see
he
that.
didn't.
That would be an all-timer.
That
if he
would be
really
an
wants to
all-timer.
play like Monday morning quarterback. Like, oh, I thought that was going to happen. And then you have
And he didn't balk.
No.
no.
He didn't balk.
They counted that. They counted the throw as a pitch.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, if he was, if they're good,
Everything that they could have gotten wrong, they got wrong.
That was
if we're gonna count this as
that
a
was
pitch,
me flying the spaceship.
Yeah.
You know what I
I don't
mean?
know
Like,
what button.
You hold
was-
this for a second.
Did you get it to
button do?
space? Like, I didn't get it off the ground.
Coach, we're still
Like,
here.
I hadn't even started it yet.
And you're welcome.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't even buckle this helmet.
Yeah, hold on.
I mean, like, what do you mean? Have you
Get
landed
some
it? Like,
space.
we got the whole thing wrong.
I'm just sitting in the spaceship right now.
Can't see shit. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with this thing. I can't get it started.
Yeah.
What are you going to do
wouldn't
with
be
this?
doing this.
Is this a 2024 model?
But and then you have the pitch clock violation for Travinsky to be able to get on base, which they were trying to, dispute that also. And I don't think I've ever audibly laughed out loud more than when Milo hit the ball. I was like, that's gone. It's
gone.
It's
Get
over.
outta
It's
here.
all this bullshit don't matter. It's
Gone.
Gone.
Get out of here.
Gone.
And then you have Jay running back from the depths of
That's
hell.
when I was like, LSU's going to win the Natty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He
came out of nowhere.
Did y'all ask him where he was at? Because
Yeah.
after the game, they asked him where he was at, and he said he couldn't even watch the game. He said somebody came in the tunnel and told him
Yeah, it was
Walk off.
It
Which
was
is
almost
walk
like
off.
he was standing in the tunnel. I thought he was standing in the tunnel.
I'm sure he was standing.
He said
in
it's a long tunnel.
Just-
He goes, but I couldn't hear anything or see anything, and we don't have a TV. So it's like I had no clue what was going on. Then one of the staffers came by. He's like, not supposed to talk to me, but he came by. He just goes, walk off. And he's like, wait, are we in the bottom of the inning? And he's like, walk off. And he's like, that's us. We won. And he comes sprinting out the tunnel to go see the boys because he gets on before he could leave, he has to take a phone call and be like, can I go back out there? Or am I going to get suspended if I go out there? And he talked to somebody from the SEC like, you're good. It's over. Like, game's over. Doesn't matter. And he's like, dude, hung up and booked it. And I was like, that was one of the all-time scenes to not only to
That was a great
for him
scene.
to have obviously this has been a wild ride for him because one of his better coaching jobs or hardest coaching jobs he's probably ever had with the amount of talent that you have, but trying to figure the whole thing out this late in the year. But to have him coming out of the tunnel and then the crowd pop and then the team pop was awesome. It just shows that when you're playing the right way, and baseball always kind of figures itself out, for better or worse, but that was the ultimate culmination. I know they didn't win the whole thing, but that was an all-time moment. That was LSU baseball to its core.
I agree.
And that's what I asked him yesterday. I was like, do you feel like you've gotten indoctrinated into what LSU baseball is? And he was like, well, the Natty. I was like, well, you had a loaded deck with the Natty. I was like, I'm talking about the weird shit that happens for LSU baseball. He goes, yes, it's been one of the weirdest years I've ever had. And that's where you get LSU, whether it be a rally pass or 27 straight and gold jerseys. It just seems to happen. And now you have a fake balk, not a balk, pitch, no pitch, stolen home plate, walk off.
And that just feels like one of them. I mean, it's been kind
you were down
of a
8-0.
couple of weeks of
just wild.
just the voodoo of LSU baseball. I
It
mean,
doesn't quit.
It never quits. It never dies. And I love to hear that it's more than just a Baton Rouge thing. That, like Tom Hart was talking about how people around the conference are just it's amazing.
I thought
gonna happen.
I thought LSU was gonna blow the doors off Tennessee after Jared Jones hit that
Me too.
almost 500-foot
Me
home
tue.
run.
And the way he pimped that.
Oh
That
thing
my
should have counted for
God.
more than one run.
I mean,
that was demolished.
I mean, he hit that ball to the third row of the parking lot. I mean,
oh, he could have killed somebody.
definitely.
Dude,
Definitely.
Tom Hart goes, oh my God.
He turned on that ball so quick. and it just
That was
He wasn't in a hurry after either.
no.
Like, God.
Yeah, that was.
That's all I got, boys.
I love his home run trot though.
Yeah.
It's like I gotta watch this. This is a
He puts the
masterpiece.
barrel in the hand, and
I'll tell you what, he was legging out infield hit. It might have been on Saturday versus South Carolina, and him moving down the line at full
terrifying.
speed.
That's a big man with a lot of
That
speed.
is, and that's a big athlete,
Yeah.
man.
He's athletic
He's
for
done some
sure.
things at first base that have showed off his athleticism. That
buddy.
I don't know. I mean, are they now kind of for certain that he's gone? I mean, what's the thought on him?
I don't.
I mean, I
don't think
the
anybody
more
wants
and
to
more
talk
he hits,
about it.
he hits
Yeah.
balls
Yeah.
to India.
Yeah.
I mean, like
I
Return
guess,
to sender.
I guess you could come back and work on like the swing and miss stuff, like just but
I guess.
I mean, what he does plays anywhere in baseball.
Yeah, from my perspective, if you're him, you're like, what could I do that would be more of a pop than this year? Like,
I
if you
agree.
come back and do it again, sure, but you don't want to take the chance of the swing and miss showing back up.
What are we, 25 tanks in?
Yeah, 20, 23, 25.
No, I think he's like
25.
26.
Yeah. And so that's what, and you talked about the first base. It's gotten markedly better.
Oh, yes, it
like
has.
throughout the year.
It really has. I mean, he made a sweep on Sunday, where I mean,
he's picking everything.
He's scooping everything.
And you
It takes
talk,
time to get used to that. Like when
Oh.
you don't play first base for a long time or don't really play it at all, like they put you over there and it's like, all right, now you got to catch pickoffs. Now you got to get all the picks that come over here. You got to get everything. Like you basically run the offense second to the catcher because you're getting the ball every time.
yeah,
I kind of feel like it would be a pipe dream for him to come back.
Yeah.
And you also have to follow up maybe the best defensive first baseman of all time at LSU and Trey Morgan, where you're like, whatever you do is not going to be good
Well,
enough.
I can't do what he did.
Yeah.
But I could do something.
But you
I got my own tricks.
Yeah, you talk about his athleticism though. Like if you're a Major League Baseball team and you're looking at him, you go, he could probably play the outfield.
Yeah,
He could play left or right.
I mean,
He ain't a center fielder, but
he's
he
a
can
good
move.
enough athlete
Oh, yeah.
where you
Yeah.
got to have him in the 9 because if he catches one like he did on Sunday, he's going to hit
The
it into a
walking
different
felon.
time zone. I mean, that was like a movie home run. That was like a Hollywood home
Pick
run.
me a winner, Bobby.
I can't stop watching it.
I mean, that was
He
quick.
hit it
I
so
think,
far.
I think all of his hits in the tournament were all home runs because he was struggling
Yeah, he
a little
was.
bit, but every time he touched one, it was just see ya. He's Pablo from backyard baseball.
Something to monitor on this is going to be Christian Little and what's going to be the status of him because LSU obviously at their best when Little has been executing this season and he has been so good for LSU's pitching staff and team since he's really become a someone that you can count on. It did not look good. It didn't even. It kind of looked weird too when he fielded the ball and ran the ball to first base. I was kind of thinking, is he hurt? Because I know that's. I mean, that's always kind of a weird play, like the underhand throw from the pitcher to the. I've never gotten that. Like,
well,
I've
you
never
saw
just gotten
South
like
Carolina
that.
nearly butcher it.
Yeah,
When
they were all in that. That
they
third
were a
baseman
deer in
was,
headlights.
Oh, he
dude.
was in hell.
He was in hell. He was in hell. I
They
mean,
keep
you
hitting
could-
balls
so
over
you
here.
forget about Tommy White was in hell
Right.
against Tennessee, but
and he was in hell early.
Yeah, the
He was
first
kinda
two were ripped
worked
right
He was
at
kind
him.
of worked himself out of it, but.
no, South Carolina was a deer in the headlights defensively. They were throwing the ball underhand from second base. The pitcher, it was weird. But to your point, like the Christian Little thing, it almost was like he got in no man's land of do I go underhand or just finish this thing out?
But he was moving so fast. I mean, like Bear was kind of like,
What, dude, you running at me?
I mean,
You want me to get out the way?
What's the deal here, man?
But yeah, then you see him, and you mentioned that before the show where I didn't know if that was something that was uncomfortable, because then you see him throw the next pitch where he winces a little bit, then he throws, and they were trying to make a judgment call in the booth as if it was like 84 miles an hour if he had dropped velo, but that was just like the cutter that he was throwing, so it was normal, but he kind of drops to a knee, and then he wants to throw like the warm-up pitches to see if he can go, and they just pulled him. And then obviously they asked Jay about it yesterday, and this is on Christian Little's health, the direct quote. He's doing okay, but we'll have to see. And this is the weird part. It's tricky because we're in that time of the year where if you can't pitch, you can't be on the roster because potentially playing 5 games in 3 or 4 days. I'm optimistic based on where the pain is and talking to Isaiah
The trainer.
Yes, Isaiah Trujillo, but it will be about how fast he recuperates. He'll travel with us, but it's a Thursday decision if he'll be on the active roster with us or not. So you have to make kind of decisions leading up to it at this point to see if he's somebody that you can even like travel and put on the roster.
I also saw people were saying Chase Shores was going to the bullpen with his cleats and his glove.
I think
during
that
the
was
tournament.
a fake. I think that was
Giving a
LSU
little-
Barstool giving a little. Everybody was excited.
Putting some cheese out there
Yeah, I
for
don't
the,
think he did
for the
that.
Reds.
I don't
You
think
can't
you
do
would
that.
do that
You
now.
can't do that now.
Yeah, it's a little too
That's
late.
that hurts though.
Yeah,
It does.
mean,
Because,
that's-
that's arm.
that's-
now it would have been
that-
all time if LSU
an
did
arm.
do that.
I mean, that's an ace type
Yeah.
arm.
Yeah, and that's why he's not throwing because
Yeah.
the potential is too good to even. But you talk about ace type arms. You saw the the curious case of Thatcher Hurd pop up again,
all right.
which it was
Thatch.
good and then it wasn't. It
Hey,
was so
5
much
strikeouts
fun.
through 2.
Yeah, and you have to
Now
take-
I'm going to walk.
Yeah.
The next 5.
I'm gonna walk somebody, hit somebody,
somebody.
load the bases, and then good luck, Nate.
Oh, he's a mental roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so much fun.
It is. It
Like,
was
you-
the first 2 innings. I'm like, oh, LSU's about to roll, and then the
Get
third
5
inning was
strikeouts.
just like,
What
is
happened?
he okay? Like,
No.
mentally, is he okay? Because that's a mental thing. Like, that's not even like because you stroll through the first 2 innings, and that's usually like
Dominant.
that's usually like the hard part
Yeah,
for
right,
a pitcher, like a
absolutely.
starting pitcher, and
He had
then
pitched
Get going.
in 2 months.
right, you get to the third inning, it's like, oh shit,
Buddy.
I think I'm back to my normal self, fellas.
And that's what we were talking about this last night. And Jared Mitchell, I think, summed it up in a perfect way where while you don't know what you have in Thatcher Hurd, you know exactly what you have in Thatcher Hurd. He's like, you can watch
Yeah.
the first 3 pitches and go get him.
No doubt.
Because if you can't locate the fastball, which is so
So good.
it's so frustrating. I'd imagine, like, as somebody watching, I couldn't imagine being him, where I'm throwing 98 with a 12-6 curveball that can absolutely slam the door on you, and then I come in the next half inning and I can't find the zone, like not even sniff it.
I can't throw a strike.
And the stuff plays, man. So you have to almost keep. You can't quit him.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's
No.
just like the drug dealer's like, hey, I have these.